Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Children's History Video Podcast. We're going to learn lots about the past and how it shaped our lives today. Today's topic is something I'm sure most of you will know about. It's the National Health Service, and we're going to be focusing on two key questions. Number one, when was it created? And number two, why was it a significant change? So, let's get started. What is it? It's a health service that is run by the government of the United Kingdom and is paid for by everyone through taxes. Everyone in the country can use the service, rich or poor, and young or old, well, everyone. When was it created? Let's take a look at some events in its history, shall we? As you can see on the screen, there's a timeline. I'm just going to add a quick scale to help you understand when in the past these things happened. And there you go. So, here we go. July 5th, 1948. The Health Minister visits a hospital on the first day of the NHS. So that is when it began. And we're going to learn more about that Health Minister in a little while. 1958. The first mass vaccination programme. That's where you get an injection that stops you from catching a nasty illness. We still get those today, and they are really important. 1972. CT scanners began to be used. That is where a special machine takes a 3D picture of inside your body. It's another way doctors can find out what's wrong if we are unwell. 2007. Robotic arm used in operation. That really helped doctors perform some very difficult operations and meant more people were able to stay well. It's come a long way, hasn't it? But to start with, we need to go further in the past, because there was an increasing belief that healthcare needed to change from the early 1900s onwards. What was healthcare like before the NHS? Before the creation of it, when someone was ill or needed a doctor, they normally had to pay for the treatment. People started to see a problem with it from the early 1900s onwards. A report on the poor law said it was not suitable anymore because it was created in the Victorian period. It came from a time when poor people were sent to the workhouses and not really looked after. But in the years leading up to the Second World War, 1939, local councils were running services which gave medical treatment to people in their area for those that paid the rates. They're a bit like taxes. However, this was on a city or county level, and not one system for everyone in the country. There was an increasing opinion in the country that the system of health insurance should include family members of those paying it. But the Second World War beginning stopped those plans in their tracks. Why was it introduced? Well, the war created problems for Britain and meant that the government needed to take control of emergency hospital care for the wounded. The Ministry of Health had plans for introducing a new health policy that would make services for everyone. The Beveridge Report in 1942 recommended a comprehensive health and rehabilitation service for prevention and cure of diseases. If we're going to summarise that, it sounds like a system that was going to help everybody. And this process was begun by the Conservative Minister for Health, Henry Willink, in 1944. But the policy was put into practice in 1945 when the war had ended by the first Labour Party. Who was responsible for it? The Conservative Minister for Health began the policy in 1944. We mentioned him a minute ago. But it was begun in full in 1945 by the first Labour government. A man called Aneurin Bevan became the Health Minister and brought the NHS into existence as we know it today. You can see a photo of him on the screen now, and he was also the man in the photo of on the timeline that we looked at the start. How did it change lives then? It had three key values and still has them today. Number one, the services helped everyone. That was a change from before, wasn't it? The healthcare was free. That's a big change from before. It's not just those that could afford to pay for it. Care was given to those that need it, and not for those that could pay for it. Now, originally, everything was free, but sadly changes had to be made because it was costing far more than had been originally planned. In 1952, charges were introduced for prescriptions and dentist treatment, and we still pay for them today, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper than if we had to buy them ourselves. Let's think carefully. Have you been to a doctor? Aren't you glad it's free? I know I am. That's why the NHS is a significant change in Britain and worth looking after. Let's finish by looking at those questions we started with to make sure we can answer them. Question number 1. When was it created? The policy to introduce it was begun officially in 1945, but it came into existence in 1948. Why was it a significant change? Remember those 3 key values. Healthcare was free, care was given to those that need it, and the services were to help everyone. So have we answered those questions? 2 big ticks for me. I hope you've enjoyed listening, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye.